do our best not to contribute to creating more hells on earth, and we will help transform the hells that already exist. We will practice in order to realize the qualities of perseverance, stability, so that, like the earth, we can always be supportive and faithful to those in need. We invoke your name, Saripata Buddha. We aspire to learn your way of looking deeply with the eyes of non-discrimination in order to see the true qualities of others. Whenever you meet anyone, you bow respectfully and say in appreciation, I respect you deeply. You are a future Buddha. We vow to look deeply into ourselves to recognize the positive qualities that are there, to accept and to love ourselves. We vow only to water positive seeds in ourselves and in those around us. By doing so, our thoughts, words, and deeds will give rise to self-confidence and acceptance of ourselves, our children, grandchildren, and all those we know. We vow to look deeply with the eyes of non-discrimination to see that the joy and success of the other person is also our joy and success. We vow to behave and to speak with humility and respect. We vow to practice loving speech to help people who underestimate themselves see that they are wonders of the universe. We know that only when we are able to transcend the barriers of a separate self shall we be able to transform the superiority, inferiority, and equality complexes and realize true happiness and freedom.
At this time, I'd like to invite up our incense lighters. And for the rest of us, if we can turn to page 2 in our books. And let us chant the incense lighting Gatha together. In gratitude, we offer this incense across space and time to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May it be fragrant as earth herself, reflecting careful efforts, wholehearted awareness, and the fruit of understanding slowly ripening. May we and all beings be companions of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true home. Hello,
Hello.
my name is Sonshin. I use they them pronouns. I'm happy to see you all here. I'm hoping that everybody here feels a little groggy, so I don't feel left out. Never really been a fan of daylight savings time either way, so but we're here. Just a couple courtesy announcements. As I've said before, we don't necessarily enter a sacred space, we help to create it. And so some things that we ask is that when you enter, you can give a bow. And also when you exit, you can give a bow. Also, if you do need to get up at any time, we ask that you go around the back. So leave the front of the dais clear. As well as when you reach the middle of the statues of the Buddha, you give a bow and acknowledgement. That's also something that we try to do as well. For anybody who's new here, we do have some restrooms right across those curtains there. We have a few. Also, if you go across the curtains downstairs, there's another restroom down there, as well as a water fountain and a place to hang out if you just need some space for any reason. With that, why don't we stand and we'll greet each other. And if you can remain standing, and we'll turn to page 3 in the chant books, and we'll be doing the 3 refugees. I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the 3 jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to practice mindful breathing and smiling, looking deeply into things. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to offer joy to one person in the morning and to help relieve the grief of one person in the afternoon. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly, so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. And if we will now turn to the next page, on page 4, we'll be reciting the Heart Sutra together. of great compassion, from the deep practice of prajna, paramita, receive the emptiness of all five skandhas, and delivered all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, and emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They are not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind, no realm of sight, no realm of consciousness, no ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance, no old age and death, nor extinction of them, no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna, paramita. Therefore the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance there is no fear. Away from all delusive views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in prajna, paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the prajna, paramita, is the great Dharani, the radiant, fearless mantram, the utmost supreme mantram, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna, paramita. Gate, gate, aragate, arasamgate, bodhisattva. Gate, gate, aragate, arasamgate, bodhisattva. Gate, gate, aragate, arasamgate, bodhisattva. Namaha prajna paramita Hridaya Sutra.
You can be seated.
going to attempt to give a talk on one of the more complicated aspects of Buddhism. In fact, in the years that I have helped to teach the preceptor class here, I think this is the part of the book or the chapters that people seem to struggle the most with. And so I thought I would give it a shot. I once heard that you can really measure how well you know something by your ability to teach it to a 5-year-old. Luckily, that's what I do for my day job, so I'm going to do my best. So I would like to start with trying to bring back some core memories of you all. So I want to show of hands, who's ever finger painted before? All right. And if you haven't finger painted, who's ever used those really cheap plastic paint brushes that they start out nice and then kind of go. And who's ever started with one color of paint, but then you get to the other one, and all of a sudden you get this really nice shade of brown at the end. All right. So we're going to start with finger paints, but I promise we'll get to bicycles by the end. So I'm going to take my paintbrush. This is my paintbrush today. And hopefully you will remember from your times finger painting what happens when you mix colors. So I'm going to make one big stroke of yellow all across the canvas. Okay, can you see it? Mm-hmm. All right, I can. It's magic. And then I'm going to take, let's say, a big stroke of red. I'm going to make a big X going along the other side. Okay, so what happened in the middle where the yellow and the red crossed? Does anybody know? Orange. Orange is my favorite color. I also like green, but orange is a little bit more dramatic. I don't think green caution cones would have the same effect. So I'll ask you another question. Whose fault is that orange? With the yellow or who owns that orange? Who caused that orange? I think we're kind of asking the wrong questions here a little bit. In some way, orange is what arose because the yellow and the red came together in a way. I think this gets to the fundamental truth about our reality, is that colors don't appear out of nowhere. It's the coming together of different frequencies, and they arise. There's this idea of dependent origination, dependent arising in Buddhism, where everything in the universe is dependent on everything else in the universe altogether. So what if we replace the yellow and the red with something different? What if we replaced the red with maybe our entire history of being a person, and we replaced the yellow with our physical body? What is that color in the middle? Right? Maybe it's what we call our sense of self, in a way, right? What makes you? What is it really you? I feel like in a lot of ways, the you or I implies a bit of ownership. And it's very easy, especially in our culture, to think of the self or the you or the I as this sort of separate thing that's kind of bopping around freely in the world. And then every once in a while you spit out a couple ideas, move a couple rocks around. But I think the Buddhist way of looking at the self, it hits the fundamental reality a little bit clearer. It's this dependent arising of all phenomena. And I'm going to put Buddhism aside for a little bit, if that's okay. And we're going to look at something more into the scientific nature of the world too. Let's think of when you have two chemicals that react together. So I'll give you an easy one. Keep in mind, I didn't get very good grades in high school, so you have to help me out. But let's say that we have the big color streak of hydrogen. And we have the big color streak of oxygen. What's the color in the middle?
Water.
Yes. And that's the very first one that we all learn about if we were paying attention and not skipping in school. And that's just one process. And I want you to think of how many cells make up your body, right? And how many of these chemical processes are happening in each individual cell. Is it really right to say, well, this cell owns the water? Or is the water what arises when all these phenomena interact with each other in a way, right? You can take this to chemistry, you can take this to biology, even physics, which is really energy and matter reacting together, right? You have the great straight color of energy, the great straight color of matter, and you have putting astronauts on the moon eventually. Now, the hardest one for a lot of people to grasp is this also applies to our own mind and our own actions or behavior. As much as we'd like to think and feel that our thoughts are our own and our actions are our own, and that we're kind of, like I said, bopping around independently and freely in this universe, doing things completely independently, it's really not how the world seems to work. We're really an intersection of thousands, millions, trillions of these intersecting colors. And where they all seem to overlap comes a sort of, in some way, an illusion or a fleeting sort of flicker, a moment that is us. That is our mind, that is our thoughts. And I don't say this to diminish what it is to do things and what it is to act in the world and think. I think it's much the opposite. If we did live in a world where true free will and we're just bopping around, not attached to anything else, I think it would be pretty sad. Because what that would mean is that we're not really connected to anything that came before us. We're all operating independently. And more importantly, because everybody else is also bopping around freely, nothing that we say or do can truly reach another person. But instead, we have this constant blooming of phenomena that's happening all together, that we're a part of. I heard one person say, it's not quite a cause and effect. I don't think that quite gets to the nature of it all. It's more of everything sort of arising. You can't say that remember, our yellow line caused the orange. It's not so much that the yellow line and the orange line caused the orange. It's that the orange arose out of these things. They rose together because of the orange and because of the yellow, a dependent arising. Another way to think of this too is I have a Noi here. If I raise up one, you could say that raising up one end causes the one end to arise. That'd be a little weird way to say it, but they're dependent on each other. You can't raise up one end of the stick without the other one rising up as well. And that is the truth of a lot of phenomena in the world. This kind of gets to this idea of this interdependence that we also talk about in the center of Buddhism too. If you think about it, this can be the root of our compassion in a lot of ways, because there's no separation. It'd be very easy for the orange color to say, oh, the yellow color is evil, and the red color is all the good in the world, so I have to purge all the orange, I have to purge all the yellow out of the world, it's evil. Not acknowledging that yellow and that red are them. It's very easy to see, well, I'm orange, I'm not yellow, I'm not red. That's, 2,000 miles away. And not seeing how the entire world has arisen together, this dependent arising. there's also another aspect to this dependent arising, and that comes to one of the harder concepts in Buddhism, which is the 12 chains of dependent arising. Has anybody heard of this before? 2 people? Yeah. And I bet maybe only one or maybe half of you have gotten it. It's taken me a while too. And this is where bicycles come into play. You ready? So for the Buddha, who saw this sort of dependent arising in all things, also imagined this great wheel that was turning, that sort of represents life itself. And in some ways, if you remember, the suffering of life too can be understood through this. So imagine this great wheel. You don't have to imagine, because I'm going to give it to you. Imagine the gears in a bicycle constantly turning. And what's causing the turning of that bicycle wheel? Nobody's ridden a bicycle? There's a big bike chain, right? A big chain that's all the way around the gear, that has chains pulling the wheels turning. And you can think of these 12 chains of dependent arising as that chain around that wheel, sort of turning the processes of life, the processes of what it is to be human. There are 12 of them, and I'm very bad at memorizing things, so I'm going to cheat. Is that okay? Yep. So for the Buddha, they just define these as ignorance. One of these links in these chains that keeps the wheel running. There's constructions or formations. You could also think of this as, no, orange is its own solid thing. It's not just when yellow and red combine. Orange is its own solid thing. That sort of formation of orange is orange, right? You have consciousness, discernment, being able to say, no, orange is not yellow, orange is not red, orange is a separate thing that exists separately from these colors, right? Being aware of these colors in its own way. And that all these things can lead to what the Buddha would describe as name and form. Think of name think of your own name, right? My name, Sonshin. And also what it means to that name, like my personality, my thoughts, and the form, myself sitting here. We start to, through all of these that I spoke before, come up with this sort of concept of self, this concept formation of what is orange, what is orangeness, right? And we talk about these 6 sense spaces, which are, our senses of being able to bring in the world, to see the orange, right? To feel it, to smell it. Orange is a great example because you can eat oranges too. You can't eat reds. That's why orange is the best color. And then there's contact itself, being able to reach out and feel and interact with the world, right? We have feeling. And these aren't just feelings of emotion, but being able to say, like I did before at the beginning of this talk, orange is my favorite color. For some of you, maybe you work in construction for a while and hated your job, but I had to wear this orange vest every day and I hate orange. Never again. I feel that way about polo shirts because I used to work in restaurants and they'd always make you wear these stupid polo shirts. They'd get all greasy and smell bad, and I will never wear a polo shirt ever again. I'm stuck in that wheel. Then we have craving. And it's not just a craving for things, but it's also craving to be free of things. That polo shirt, I crave to never wear a polo shirt ever again. I also crave to wear orange clothes instead. That wanting things to be permanent. So I didn't tell you about this yellow and red line, but they're not stationary. There's nothing in the world that's stationary. All those chemical reactions going on in your cells are constantly bubbling and flowing and fading in and out. And if you are really loving that orange, I have some bad news, because the yellow hue and the red hue are constantly dimming and becoming brighter and moving. And as a result, that orange is fading and coming in. And trying to crave for that fixed orange is going to bring some hurt later on. And that brings to the next chain in our wheel, which is clinging. No, don't go away. That orange was perfect. Don't adjust any of the hues. Don't adjust any of the settings because it's perfect as it is right now. And then that leads to growth, birth, and aging, decay, and death, which are all big parts of life itself, right? And I like to think of these as the sort of temporal nature of phenomenon. The fact that this hue that we've all learned to love, this orange, is constantly going to be rising, being born, growing, changing, and eventually fading away, right? These are all part of the nature of what it is to be a human being. These 12 chains along this wheel that are turning this giant wheel of life in a way. I don't believe that we have any here, but there are these really big murals that exist in especially early Buddhism, a big wheel of life. And also in Hinduism too, and a lot of Indic religions, because this is a very early teaching. And you have different forms that represent all the 12 links that I talked about around this wheel, just like a chain on a bicycle wheel, turning this wheel that we're in some ways kind of stuck on and suffering because of. So this goes back to the teachings of the Buddha. What do we do? We're stuck on this turning wheel of suffering and I want off. There's one quote from the Buddha, which may be one of the most important. And the Buddha said, to understand dependent origination is to understand the Dharma. Or to see dependent origination is to see the Dharma. And to see the Dharma is to see dependent origination. Being able to see this nature of reality is the Dharma itself, right? It's a realization of this. When the Buddha talks of awakening, seeing the true nature of things, this is what he's pointing to. Seeing this interdependence, this continuous arising, this temporal waning and waxing, and how this is creating this chain that's completely turning our lives constantly. So what do we do? Well, one thing I think is our own meditation. So sitting and meditating, well, how's that supposed to help with any of this? That's dumb. Well, let me give you this analogy of a bike chain. Has anybody here ever gotten anything, whether it be a part of your skin, hopefully not, or the brim of your skirt or your pants stuck in your bike chain when you were driving? Some of you? Yep. And for some of us, it resulted in the skin needs, band-aids, and crying. So here's where the problem happens. We have this chain constantly turning, this bike wheel. But us, because we're all big dummies, stick our finger in and try to stop it. And what's going to happen if you stick your finger in that bike chain? Nobody's having fun. It's that grasping. It's that wanting, no, stop the wheel. That color for that one moment when the yellow has a perfect hue and the red was so beautiful. And if I could just have that still and snapshot and be able to anchor myself on that color for one moment, everything will be okay. But you're grasping at a sandcastle as the tide's coming in, right? You're trying to say, if that wheel would just stick in its one spot, what if I stick my finger in it? It's that grasping. It's that trying to make things a certain way, trying to pause time. Even photographs fade away over time, right? This is a great Dharma teacher, Jimi Hendrix, once said, castles made of sand fall in the sea eventually. One of my favorite songs. I really love that song. So what does that have to do with meditation? I think fundamentally, meditation is the practice of letting that wheel turn freely. That well-oiled chain, going around from that birth, that first consciousness, realizing that they can make some sense out of this changing world, which is important for some. Because we could go around saying, well, actually, orange doesn't exist. It's just a way that we interpret this certain frequency of lights. But orange itself is just the way that we quantify this spectrum of light. Okay, then how are you going to paint me a picture? So some of these things are important to operate in the world, right? Where it hurts, though, is when you try to see this as, no, orange is this forever unchanging, unvaluable thing that you hold on to. In some way, meditation is just sitting and letting that universe turn, feeling the entire universe arise together, realizing our part in it, realizing that maybe it's not me, but me is it. Everything is us, right? The sensation of realizing that, oh, I'm not just this little crumb that's bouncing around, but I'm part of this huge interconnected system that is arising together, and every single piece is important. What would happen if yellow would look at that orange and be like, wow, there's just so much red in that orange. What's my piece in it? I'm gonna walk away. And immediately, because of the dependent origination, the orange disappears, right? Every single person is just as important in the entire system of the universe, right? Realizing your part in that is so important. Being able to sit with that, being able to feel that, that's where compassion comes from. And seeing the system, seeing where the suffering comes from sticking your finger in that spoke wheel, don't do it. I've also heard too the analogy of, we're sitting in front of a highway and we see a really nice car that we like and we grab it to try to hold on to it, and there goes our arm. Right? Being able to just let them come, let them go, realize the absurdity of ownership, right, in the system too. And ownership on a very central level, right? The yellow doesn't own that orange. The red doesn't own that orange. The orange doesn't own that orange. The orange arises because of everything together, right? And when you see the universe in that way, how absurd is it to say, no, that's my car. I'm gonna grab it and it's gonna be mine. To see interdependence, to see dependent arising is to see the Dharma. And to see the Dharma is to see the dependent arising. So hopefully that at least gave you maybe a flicker of how the Buddha saw the world and how that could lead to a systematic way to help relieve our suffering. So with that, why don't we dim the lights and let's sit with it. And I want to challenge you to feel this process happening, maybe within your own body. Right? You're a bundle of trillions of cells going through this process. And I want you just to sit with that and appreciate that. And know that when you're connected to the system, every thought that you have is a result of an echo of thousands of years before you realizing yourself in this moment. And every action will echo for thousands of years in the future. How great is that? That puts so much meaning into everything that you do. this time, I'd like to open up the floor for joys and concerns. We'll have a mic that'll be going around. If you have anything you'd like to share about your week or the week's coming, whether it be something you're worried about or want to celebrate with all of us, if you listen to my talk, one of your joys is all of our joys, right? And one of your concerns is all of our concerns. So we want to feel all this together and help out together. I would ask too that when you receive the mic, if you could just introduce yourself, maybe give a name, pronouns if you feel comfortable. I know that we're all still getting to know each other. We always see faces. If you'd like to raise your hand, you got something to say. Nobody raise your hand and start pointing to people.
Good morning, my name's Dave, he, him. Week and a half ago, my grandfather passed away very suddenly before his 92nd birthday. And I don't know if this is a joy or a concern because I didn't get to say the things I should have, but I'm glad that he's at peace and he's no longer suffering. But yeah, I'm trying to hold on to the memory of him as he was 30 years ago before my grandmother passed, and he watched Fox News for 24 hours a day. So I guess I've got joy. It was kind of hard going to the Catholic funeral. They wanted me to go up and read, and I said, no, thank you. But I was still able to carry him to his site and have my closure. And then a joy. I started a new job last Monday, and they were very gracious about me going down to Cincinnati and spending time with the family. Thank you.
I'll go. My name is Samya Gajiva. I use he, him pronouns. I have a couple joys. One right now is the sun shining. I don't want to say it and it's going to go away. Oh, no.
It's the orange.
I am very grateful to have a little bit of warmer weather. It's just really uplifting. Also, joys. We had our Bodhisattva training class yesterday and got to start sewing our rakusus, and it was just a really fun time hanging out with Sonshin, Musho, Chongotsu, Kunga, just all different people just coming together. It was just a really great joy. Thank you.
I'm Amy, she, her pronouns. I have a joy. Last night, me and my husband got together with a couple friends and we do what we call musicals and munchies. So we have dinner and we watch different musicals, and we watched Labyrinth last night, which was kind of playful. And but what a joy it is to share in really good, comfortable friendships where we just have a good time and feel comfortable together and safe together, and that is like a gift. So yeah, it's a joy.
My name is Carly, she, her. I am grateful and have the joy of being in this space today with all of you. It's so helpful for me. And my concern is, I've been in the middle of a extremely high conflict divorce for many months. And in the midst of it, realized my lawyer at the time was also very toxic for me. And I am meeting 3 new lawyers this week, and just would love for any positive vibes to come my way, so I can move forward with this part of my life. And I appreciate the space and saying it aloud. Thank you.
I'm Ruth, she, her. This is my first visit to the temple, and I'm very joyful to be here. I'm feeling very welcomed and humbled by being a part of you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alex Ian. I work at a corporation, so it's difficult to find life sometimes in a corporation. So I've been, see a lot of that. And I've been trying to find my way that I can help out. And I found a contact who has contacts in Liberia with clinics, and we make medicine. So with this clinic in Liberia, they think we can donate a product over them as long as we get the stars to align. So I've been trying to coordinate with all the people, and get everything set up to allow our corporation to donate to them on a regular basis, and it seems like that's going to come to fruition. And it like makes me so happy and proud to be able to share that and find the line of the corporate man to be able to do that. So I'm trying to find my way through that. So it's really cool. I have concerns, but there's a thing I need to share.
You know, last week I didn't share my concern, and this is another joy. The Sangha members afterwards asked me, you know, what were your concerns? Like, if you don't mind sharing. And it was just so beautiful to have a community that's willing to say, you know, like, oh, you were feeling something. What was it? If you want to share. So that was another joy of mine.
Hello, Sangha. We have one online. Frenchie, he, they. A few joys this week. I recently started a new position and was incredibly nervous that I wouldn't have the support I needed. My team has been loving and collaborative. They have helped me be my best self, and I've never had such a positive work experience. I'm grateful and I feel at ease, even though this job has massive responsibilities.
I'll say the concern that we're all feeling. You probably noticed the gas prices recently. Unfortunately, we all know why they're high. So I guess take care of ourselves, right? Do we have anybody else that would like to share?
Thank you. I'm Nathan. He, him, Shanley, and Sue. All the names. Today is the 6th year anniversary of my mom's passing. And the really interesting thing about that is, did that come from your sleeve? I'm obsessed. No, it wasn't. You put that phone back up in there and it never falls out.
I've got a little soundboard here.
The interesting thing about the anniversary is that I just realized that my dear friend and bandmate, his birthday is today. And the first thing that I realized, when I realized that, I was like, oh God, I can never tell him that his day is the same day as that. And I realized that he probably also did the same thing with me and just didn't tell me that the days intersect because he must have known that. So it's really interesting when people look out for each other in funny ways like that. So we probably will both practice not mentioning anything on this day and then mentioning it after the fact. So it's a kind of a joy out of a weird thing.
Mr. Chandosu. I'm a little concerned about daylight savings time this morning. Definitely woke up late and it threw me off. But I'm also joyful. Yesterday I went to a birthday party for a friend of ours who turned 8 years old. We met, I was her soccer coach, my son and her were on the same soccer team, and we became good friends. And it was probably the most amazing party I've ever been to. They turned their whole living room into a dance hall with black lights, and everybody had we all had face paint and tattoos that glue in the dark, and I haven't danced that hard. I can't even remember, 4 hours of straight just dancing, and the kids, there was balloons and glow sticks, and it was unbelievable. So I just wanted to share that. Hope that brings everyone a little joy.
That's what happens when ravers have kids. All right. Well, that's one more.
You had a second joy here, also from a friendship. As a second, I found an incredible book, Humankind, A Hopeful History by Rutger Bregman, argues that humans are fundamentally kind and cooperative, challenging the traditional view that we are inherently selfish.
Why don't we take a few moments just to hold it on it? All right. Well, I do have some announcements for March. So we have our online meditation groups that meet Wednesday at 6 p.m. and that's over Zoom, and you can contact Kumba or join our newsletter for more information on that. We also have a Thursday Dharma discussion group that'll be on 9:30 a.m. And they are currently discussing Zen and the art of saving the planet. I believe they meet here in the temple. You can contact Jingsu or Duffield or see the newsletter for more information. We also have a Fundamentals of Buddhism class on March 14th, which I believe is this Saturday, right? I'll be teaching that with you as well. All right, both of us will be teaching that. If you would like to get a better foundation and understanding of Buddhism, this would be a perfect class. Or if you have been studying for a while and you feel like I need to return to some of the basics because I'm kind of overcomplicating things, it would be a great class for you as well. And that will start at 9 a.m. till noon. We also have our Grand Rapids Buddhist Temple Board meeting on Sunday, March 15th. And that is open for any of the members or any of you to attend if you'd like to just be a part of or hear more about the inner workings of the temple. We also have our Buddhist-based recovery meetings that meet here at the temple, Mondays at 6:30 p.m., Wednesdays at 6:30 at the Alamo Club, and Fridays at 10 a.m. for meditation. That's at the temple or Zoom. And you can contact Ananda Pula Baba, Craig, for more information or see the newsletter. I also have another announcement that I'm going to turn into a mini Dharma Talk, and I promise that I won't be forever, but I have a second Dharma Talk for you, really quick, okay? If I say the number 4, and I'm referring to Buddhism, what do you all think of? Yeah, the 4 Noble Truths. Well, there's another 4 that I think is, I don't want to say equally as important, but probably. and this is one that's not talked about a lot, and that is the four, I think it's called the four requirements, which when the Buddha was creating the Sangha for the first time, he wanted to make sure that every Sangha member, every monk at that time, had these four requirements, because he felt if you didn't have these four things, you weren't going to be in a position where you could study the Dharma. And those four things were clothing, food, shelter, and medicine. And for the Buddha, at that time, he was able to guarantee all four of those things for everybody who studied under him. And if you think about it, if you're in a place in your life where you don't have any one of those four things, you're not in a place where you can think about, well, how am I going to think about the bigger picture of things? No, you're in survival mode. Unfortunately, if you think about our Constitution and our Bill of Rights, none of those things are guaranteed in our country. I hate to think that the Buddha 2,000 years ago did a better job than our government is currently doing, but I'll leave it at that. And I say all this to bring up our Buddhist mutual aid Sangha that we have here at the temple, because at its heart, that's what we aim to do. We realize that in our Sangha and our community, if we don't have these bare necessities, these needs, we're not going to go anywhere further when it comes to our spiritual needs. Because these are requirements to move forward, to make any sort of meaningful progress in the world, is to make sure that these bare necessities are met. With that, I do want to let you know that today after the service, we have a mutual aid meeting that's open to anybody if you'd like to come and be a part of trying to help make sure that everybody in our Sangha has all these four things met. As a part of that, we also have a pantry that we have started downstairs that is free for donations. If you have any dry goods or any of these four things we talked about that you would like to donate for that, then you can. As well as if you have any need to take from that pantry, feel free. Or if you know somebody in your life who's struggling with any of these things, feel free to take. You can also put together a care package from those things just to leave in your car. So in case you, in your life, come across anybody who needs any of these things, that you can give them away. Another thing that we are doing as a Sangha is we're not in a place right now where we can collect and hold money, but we can connect direct donations to people in need. And there is one Sangha member that we are attempting to help at this time who's recently lost their job. They're between jobs because of inpatient care that they had to receive. Our goal was, I think, about $2,000. As of today, we've raised a little over 600. So we're still looking for donations for this person. So if you are able or interested to donate to this cause to help one of our Sangha members, please reach out to me and I can help to give you the contact to donate through Cash App is how they're receiving funds. But if in any way that you feel like that's something that you want to be a part of, then join us today after the Sangha and we'll be having that meeting. And also be a part of the pantry that we have here and keep things going. And I don't want this to be, just a couple people put together. I want to see us collectively, working together, raising both ends of the stick, right, to help this work. So. Yeah, and guess what? That's today.
But for future preparation.
We meet for a second Sunday every month. We also have a Discord. If you look on that board right back there, there's the paper that's got the red headline. Yes, I feel like I'm on Wheel of Fortune right now. We have a QR code. If you'd like to scan that to be part of our Discord, you can do that there. You can also just meet us in person as well. Do we have any other announcements that we need to give today? Would you like to give it?
Hi everyone, my name is Sean Osu. In our practice, the 6 perfections, something the Bodhisattva class is studying right now. The first of those is Dana Paramita, maybe generous and helpful. And I think with this, looking around and trying to identify where help is needed in the Sangha, where help is needed as you're driving your car, when you're in the grocery store, you're looking around your community and being quick to help. I think that's really the essence of what we're trying to embody with this. So if you're able to donate your time, there's a group that comes together here to set up a Sunday service, and also to do all sorts of different activities, clean the temple, etc. It's called Dharma Disciples. There's also a QR code on that board over there if you're interested in learning more, volunteering your time. Material goods are always accepted, and also monetary funds if you're able to help in that way. There's Dharma boxes at either end of the Dharma hall and one downstairs. And for those on YouTube, there's an option to go to the website to donate through PayPal as well. Thanks.
With that, why don't we stand up? We'll do our closing comments. And if you're still lost, it's on page 7. No, I'm wrong. Page 6. Now you're lost. For all unskillful actions ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for them all. Vast is the road of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddhist teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless blind passion, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to enter. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain. And we could have one side of the room face the other side. We'll give one last bow, closing bow. Thank you so much. If any of you would like to hang out, we will have some tea until about 12:30, where we'll be starting our mutual aid meeting. But feel free to hang out until then. Thank you. All right, 12:30, 11:30.
Yeah, that's it.